plaintiff, Lindsay Hoff, got engaged to the defendant after they met in rehab, where she was getting help for a codependent relationship, and the defendant was getting help for drugs. Lindsay says after they moved in together, the defendant relapsed, and he eventually moved out, owing her 2 years of rent. So she's suing. Defendant Andrew Klein insists Lindsay was in rehab because of drug use, not because of a codependent relationship. Andrew says while they were together, he continued using drugs and cheated on her with multiple women in their bed. Andrew says he only agreed to pay rent because he was on drugs, so he denies owing.
Start with you.
2 years ago, Andy and I met at a treatment facility. I was there for codependency, and he was there for heroin addiction. It was a dual diagnosis center for they addressed several different addictions. One of them was drugs, gambling, et cetera, et cetera. He and I started dating. Shortly thereafter, we went on vacation out of the country together with his family, and we were on a whirlwind romance. He asked me to marry him, and I accepted. And
how long after meeting in the rehab did you all become engaged?
After meeting, 6 months, and after starting to date.
meeting him in rehab,
yes, sir,
you all became engaged?
Yes, Your Honor. And we returned to the States. Our plan was to move in together and build a life together and live happily ever after. We did get an apartment together. Unfortunately, about 3 months after that, my grandmother had a stroke, and I went back to Detroit to help my family take care of her and plan.
Good part of Detroit?
Just north of Detroit, Birmingham, like Royal Oak area.
Plenty of dope there, isn't there?
In Detroit?
No, in the Birmingham area. There's more dope being used in Birmingham, which is the most expensive part of the suburbs. No, them kids in Detroit might smoke a lot of weed, but them kids in Birmingham shoot a lot of heroin. I live up the street from Birmingham. My kids went to school right there. Yeah. Everybody was going to rehab. In the inner city, it's a badge of honor when the kids go to jail. You know, I've been to jail. That makes you cool. In the suburbs, it's a badge of honor when you go to rehab. I've been to rehab. I was on heroin, so I'm cool. So let's just make that clear now. Go ahead.
Andy was going to stay in our apartment and continue on our path, secure employment, and continue to build our life. And when I came back, that did not happen. Our apartment that we had worked hard to create was absolutely destroyed.
He relapsed?
He did relapse.
In Birmingham.
In Birmingham,
no, in
right.
Los Angeles, in Los Angeles.
Suburb of Los Angeles?
Yes,
yeah. All right. What type of drugs?
I found out recently that he relapsed on heroin. I didn't know that until...
Very good. Go ahead. All right. You tell me about your background.
Okay. Well, people don't go to rehab for codependency. I mean, there's only two ways to get there, and it's drugs and drugs. I mean, I don't know any other way to get to rehab.
I thought.
Yeah.
Wait, what about all the other groups they deal with?
So she was on heroin too?
No,
right?
she was not on heroin, but definitely there were drugs involved. I mean, people do not go there because it's a vacation spot.
That's what I
mean,
thought.
have you seen the itinerary? This trip sucks. Like, nobody wants to go to rehab. So
she was there for drugs.
She was
also.
there, and she was there for drugs also, as was I. I had gone off to the races, and I was there voluntarily. I was trying to get my life together.
Good.
Yeah, well, you know, it's about time. 25 is about that time, and
oh, good, because you started using heroin a lot.
Yeah.
At what age?
Oh, I started using heroin when I was probably around 16 years old. Sorry, guys, I know. It's
like I said, in high school,
yeah.
That's what happened.
It's different. It's a different age these days.
You don't even smoke weed. Weed is
no. I tried it first. I tried it before I tried pot.
Y'all want
it was
the
cheap.
hard stuff.
Yes,
Give me some heroin.
Well, yeah. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 straight to. Why are we dealing with any of this stuff?
That's for poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Push off.
Give me the real deal. I want me some heroin.
Yeah. So, and you're young and stupid, you're invincible, you know what? I'm thinking like, well, she's going fishing in Lake Chernobyl, I mean, for a new date. What, I mean, this is, you don't go to rehab to find a partner. It's not what you do.
Your Honor, wait, Your Honor,
she's 34 years old. She's 34 years old. I was 23 years old, and I got left with
I said no for 2 months.
I got left in a world that was way above my means, a $1,200 apartment on, you know, in Los Angeles. I chose it. Of course I chose it. Who would choose anything lower than that? If you have somebody that's footing the bill, why would you choose anything lower? And at the end of the relationship, I get a bill. It's like she did not ask for the money up front. You know, there was no real agreement.
All right, let's hear about the agreement you're suing him for, ma'am.
Sure. We had an agreement before we even found the apartment, because he didn't have any money, he didn't have a job, and he said, if you just set us up, I'm going to get a job and I'll pay you, I'll reimburse you, and then I'll pay half of our living expenses. There's no free ride, and everybody has to pay to live. So
no, that's not true. A lot of times, particularly dope fiends, they don't pay. Just like him, he doesn't pay because he's a dope fiend, man. You know a dope fiend isn't paying anything.
The writing's on the wall with me. You know what you're getting. I mean, it's like, I don't know why you're back in. You saw a 23-year-old heroin addict and went, that's him. That's the one. I'm back in that horse, that three-legged horse.
He's
very persuasive.
And we're going to make it.
He said, we're going to make it.
We're going to make it. We're going to do it. And I do. I love her. But come on. It was like Gilligan's Island. She goes for 3 days back east and comes back 3 months later, and she wondered why the apartment's all trashed and I'm eating panko breadcrumbs and there's no food in there except Alpo dog food.
But there was birth control in the refrigerator.
Not mine, obviously. And you decided to stay. In fact, when I left, you chased me down the street in a Prius, which is the best domestic violence car because you can come up behind somebody real quiet. So she comes up to me in a Prius. I freak out. So she's behind me. She chased me down the street. She says, just come home. Please come home. I just need you to come home. And I thought, it's me. I cheated on you in your bed with 5 different... Why are you... Have a little self-respect.
You had other women in her bed?
Yeah, have a little self-respect. Go home. I know it was terrible. I mean, I know that was the wrong thing to do, but I was on drugs, and I really am sorry. I think she earned the money. Trust me.
Heroin, and you would do it again tomorrow.
I would not do
heroin again tomorrow.
Tell
me about the agreement to pay. He says he did. Right. He said you knew what you were getting.
He drafted a promissory note, which I didn't ask for. In fact, I told him, it's unnecessary, honey, I love you.
Okay, let's see it, please.
He drafted it anyway, and we both signed it, and so there's that.
I was trying to get my...
Here's the lease agreement, and we've done this several times, where his life is in shambles, and then we wipe the slate clean and start over again, because I do believe in him, or I do fall for it every time. And
how many times? You say several.
3 solid. Three times. Okay. 3 times. At different points, I moved into sober living because his family would pay for sober living, and he would spend 1 or 2 nights at the sober living house, and then he'd be right back at my house. That was his home.
What finally caused you to clean your life up?
When I left there, she started crying, saying she wanted me back, and I just said, go home. You don't want me.
What caused you to change your life? Or are you still a dope fiend?
Oh, no. Obviously.
What caused you to change?
I moved to Glencoe, became a farmer, put in some hard work. I'm up at 5. I'm doing the hard work.
Ask him what he's farming.
Okay. You asked him.
It is in Mendocino County. Yes, I'm growing in Mendocino County, but I'm a farmer, you know, and it's legal in California.
So what was you wanted me to ask what?
Ask him what he farms, what his crop is.
All right. What, marijuana?
Of course, for the medical cannabis.
He's not on heroin,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And I grow it legally for veterans who are in pain. All right? And they're good people. And they just, you know what? They deserve a good little stone. You know what? They fought for our country.
All right. The contract, sir, you agreed to pay her. So what do you say to this?
Well, I signed it when I was on drugs. And, you know, when you're about to lose your place, you got to scramble and hustle. You got to get to dancing. And that was my dance.
Sir, contracts are voidable under duress or state of mind. However, voluntary drug use is not signing a contract under a drug-induced state of mind. When you do it regularly, not you just happen to drink too much that night And so, okay, I'm drunk, and someone hands you a contract, and you say, okay. No, sir, you were high all the time. So it's like you saying when you go to the phone company or to the gas company and you get your gas turned on and you're high all the time. Are you going to tell the gas company, well, I'm not paying my gas bill because when I had it turned on, I was high. I'm not paying my light bill because when I had my lights turned on, I was high. I'm not paying my car note because when I signed the finance note, I was high. That's a good game. You don't have to pay for anything. So that defense doesn't stand, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff. You sign this.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
We're gonna have a lot of conversation about this, I guess. I mean, this was a lot of airing out of differences, and I think we definitely need to get on the same page before anything could possibly happen.
I think that we've proven to ourselves and to each other that we are not successful as, you know, together. And I agree with Andy that we both need to get our individual lives in order before we can consider being with anybody else.